Blockchain tech is the state-of-the-art tool for evolving governance practices at this time. Evolving governance is done by returning to basic principles and extracting the essential building blocks that can be used to directly derive any other governance concepts and rules. Blockchains force you to be succinct and clear, because governance rules are based on and backed by software protocols. Next-generation governance is computable governance. Governance laws have the Constitution as foundation. A constitution for a community is the named set of rules which are accepted proposals that are required to be mentioned as precedents in the text of any new proposal. We propose a constitutional framework that starts with a formal base, like in science. Like in mathematics, the formal base must cover all cases. Like in physics, the formal base must offer a causal dependency. You should not be able to make an amendment that cannot be logically drawn from the previous accepted statements. Like in chemistry, the formal base offers all ingredients for future combinations. The Constitution shows the building blocks and limitations for the higher level governance framework. Like in biology, the formal base allows for evolution, upgrade, and adaptation. Like in geography, the formal base builds a map of the territory. These are the building blocks of a constitutional framework that can be used across communities and projects. A constitution establishes the technical limitations for future governance, and these are the basic rules of the constitution itself, and they must be based on clearly defined naming and versioning conventions, which along with precedence rules set the basis for causality. Naming and versioning has a mutual two-way dependency on precedence rules, and it is also based on language limitations and the existing governance infrastructure. Language limitations are defined by having consensus on words and concepts and the grammar and syntax tree used. These are the rules necessary for informed governance that acknowledges prior consensus and the limitations of the present infrastructure. And these rules, which must be referenced in any new proposal, compose the Constitution. How does a constitution become trustworthy? By the principle of reflexivity, a constitution is worthy of respect if it gives respect to its underlying building blocks in an explicit manner. As such, the constitution itself must recognize its priors, which are language, computing environment, causal laws, based on which we can further define principles and aspirations. Then, all future governance proposals get a solid base when they recognize the Constitution as basis. So, a constitution needs to recognize the technical limitations as prior, and any governance proposal that amends the constitution can only be done within these technical limitations. For example, you can make an amendment to clarify the definition of a word or clarify syntax, or to keep the constitution in sync with the core software protocol. And any governance proposal that does not amend the Constitution needs to recognize the Constitution as prior in the proposal text and abide by the rules defined in the Constitution. Otherwise, it is unconstitutional. A common constitutional framework across communities and projects unifies definitions, offers already made building blocks for new emerging structures, while giving each community the freedom to assemble its own rules and discover new ones. This approach is very much in line with what Tgrade's trusted circles are. Trusted circles are independent communities with their own rules and regulations that are still part of the Tgrade blockchain and thus need to conform to the Tgrade's base constitution. Modular interdependent governance rules are needed to efficiently clarify precedents and hierarchy rules in such a system. The constitutional framework should be able to demonstrate that any leaf proposal abides by one or more trusted circles rules following the precedence path back to the main common constitution. What can you do? If you own TGD and engagement points, you are a member of the Tgrade community. Vote so our work of formalizing the basis for Tgrade community constitution continues. Provide constructive feedback on fundamentals. Pass the technical limitations package of proposals. And if you make proposals to the Tgrade community, base them upon the Tgrade constitution. If you make proposals to a trusted circle, base them upon the constitution of that particular trusted circle. You can find links to all presented material in the video description. Let's evolve together the basic building block of civilization, the Constitution.